Hello!
This is the Taschenratte, the most hit points you can have in World of Tanks. Everything about this vehicle is big, and when it follows on from the mouse, you'd expect that. In this video, we're going to be reviewing the Taschenratte and whether or not it is a worthy successor to the mouse. I'll go through everything you need to know about this vehicle, so even if you don't go ahead and buy one of these, you'll know how to fight it. So let's begin, starting out with the stats of the vehicle. As always, we need to start out with the base stats, and obviously these are all in red because I've clicked unresearched. For those of you that are unaware, once you do get the upgrades for a vehicle, you cannot take them off the vehicle, so that is why everything's in red. You have 510 alpha damage with 268 standard penetration. This is a very, very big upgrade from what you have on the mouse. Another thing that is a worthy upgrade is the premium rounds, that is 330 heat. And the HE is 66 pen with 660 alpha damage, which isn't bad, but it's also not great. You're not going to be penning loads and loads of stuff. You have a 13.23 second reload time, and that nets you 2,300 base DPM. You have a 0.35 accuracy and an aim time of 2 seconds, which is more than good enough. By default, you have 3,300 hit points. And obviously, once you then add into the upgrades and you add in the hardening, you're going to have lots more, nearly 4k if you went with a bond hardening. However, there is downsides to this. You do only go at 18 kilometers an hour forwards and 15 in reverse. Yes, you nearly go as fast as you do forwards backwards. As well as that, you only have a 9.5 power to weight, which is definitely not good. You are very, very immobile, the same way that you were with the mouse. But that's to be expected. The camera rating is what you'd expect for something that is this well armored, and you do have 400 meters base view range, which is very good. When we compare the base version of the Rat to the upgraded version, you'll see that it does get more alpha damage, which nets it more DPM. You also have a better dispersion and a little bit better aim time. You also gain 200 hit points, which gives you 3,500 base. Your engine power goes up, which means your power to weight goes up to now 10, and you gain 2 km/h forward speed. So it doesn't have super crazy upgrades, but they are welcome ones nevertheless. The ability on this vehicle is that you have a secondary gun. Once the ability is ready and therefore the secondary gun is loaded, by default you'll be able to click the X key and it will fire a 2-round shot into whatever you are aiming at. A bit like how it is on the MBTB. You see it will fire one shot and then the second shot directly after. You only click once. Now these shells do not take ammo from your ammo capacity, and technically it means that this tank can never ever run out of ammo. These will be HE shells that you are firing, and they have 80 penetration with 250 potential alpha when it is fully upgraded. When we're talking about the armor of the Rat, this is both better and worse than a mouse. I think for the vast majority of players, the Rat will be a better option than the mouse. However, if you are an experienced player and know how to angle a mouse, you can get it to a state that nobody will pen you. With the Rat, that's not technically possible. When we compare it to the normal APCR rounds, yeah, as you'll see, nothing is really going to pen this. You can maybe pen the cheeks here, but that's like a 40% chance. When you meet one of these things, if you are not directly side on or at the rear of the vehicle, please do not waste your time of firing standard rounds unless they are incredibly good. When we go ahead and use premium rounds, you'll see that the cheeks are now more than pennable, and so is the lower plate. And bearing in mind, this is using 330 heat. You're going to need around about 310 to reliably go through the lower plate. And if you want to pen the cheeks with a heat round, you need around about 280, 290 to reliably go through that. But obviously, with the Rat and the mouse, you can just angle, and it then becomes very, very hard for people to hit you. And especially with the mouse, you can just turn the turret, and it becomes an easy no pen. No it doesn't. See, with the mouse, if you went and angled like this is using the same pen that the Rat has, 330 pen, you can't pen this. This is not a pennable object. Yes, there is pens here, but not many people know about that. But most people will be trying to pen around here. Yes, the lower plate is there, but if you're side scraping and this is all blocked off, you're not going to see that. There are so many times that you can bait people into shooting this area because they think that it is over angled, because look how much you actually need to over angle before it then starts becoming a pennable area. Which means that if they're just angled around about like this, they're going to need about 350, 360 heat pen to go through this. Whereas if you go to the Rat, this is a whole plate here, which then becomes very, very flat and weak. Not only that, but the upper plate also is an issue if you are on the same height as it. So technically speaking, perfect angling in the Rat is nowhere close to what you do with the mouse. You actually just want to be angling just a tiny amount, just to make it a little bit harder. However, they can still pen here every single time the same way that you can do on a mouse. Also, if you ever see a Rat that is going side on, just right out in the open, don't try to shoot this. Yes, you can track them, but you're going to need some very, very good pen to go through it. As you'll see here, you need around about 280-ish, and that's with APCR, to go and track this and do damage. Now, obviously, if you're in something like a 50B, that's not really too much of an issue. You can go here, you can track it, and you'll do damage at the same time. But if you do go a little bit too high, you then hit spaced armor, and you no longer pen. So to actually track one of these things or perma-track one of these things is incredibly hard. Not only because it gets very good track health and more track health in the upgrades, but also because the armor overhangs quite a bit. There is only a small percentage that you can actually track and do damage. If you are side onto one of these things though, you should not have any issues. It's 200 pen to go straight through this, although I will say if you can shoot the hull, please do, because the turret is around about 260 even side on. And even for the rear of the vehicle, you're looking around about 230 pen needed. So this tank is incredibly well armored, and I do think, as I said, for most people, this will be easier to play than the mouse because there's less learning involved. But if you are a very, very experienced player, then you can angle a mouse into a situation that this can only dream of. For the equipment setup, it is very, very simple. There is only one: hardening, turbo, rammer. That's it. Don't use anything else. For the crew, it's pretty self-explanatory as well. For the commander, we obviously have brothers in arms, repairs, recon, emergency, which is always nice to have, practicality, just for helping out for the consumable cooldown, and then we have coordination. You don't necessarily need coordination. Mentor could come in useful if you do get a crew member knocked out, or if you do just want to grind the XP crew books. For the gunner, we obviously have brothers in arms, repairs, snapshot, deadeye, armorer, and designated target. I don't ever bother taking these two because this cancels each other out, sort of, and concentration I think is just pure cope. For the driver, we have clutch braking, controlled impact, which is always fun on the mouse and the rat. We then have engineer and off-road driving. For the radio operator, we obviously have situational awareness and firefighting, and then the other ones are kind of picked for you because you're definitely not going to choose jamming, and you probably don't want communications expert. So side by side and signal interception it is. And for the loader, which both of these are going to be exactly the same, you have to mirror each other, otherwise you only get 50% of the perks. We have safe stowage, intuition, ammo tuning, and perfect charge. You could always go for adrenaline rush instead of one of these as well, although it would probably be for perfect charge if we're being honest. So welcome to Mines, and I was going to try and give you some live gameplay instead of a replay, but well, this game is by far the best game I've had, and just EBR things, don't need to worry about that. This is by far the best game that I've had in this tank. We are using Bond equipment, and that nearly gives us 4,000 hit points, which is just mental to think about. We also do have a very healthy amount of premium ammo, but let's be honest, if you're going to be a heavy tank in this kind of environment, you need it. This is the double shot. As you'll see, we fired 1, 2, and then with the main gun put in the third. The two double shots only done 182 between the two of them, and then we put in 495. Luckily enough, we did set them on fire. This is something that you can do with the rat. If you know where to aim, then sometimes you can set people on fire, especially if you do get a penetrating HE shot. You put one shell in, and then you put the other shell in directly after with your main gun. And then you'll be able to actually ammo rack or HE people as well. So that is something to look out for. But right now, what we want to do is just be in this situation. We don't need to do much. We have no artillery to worry about. We can just happily sit here. There on this ridgeline, there is a slight shot there that you can pen on the T-03, but we miss it. In fact, I'm not too sure if I was using AP there, if I can overmatch the side skirts. So maybe we could. But fair enough, we go and put one into the cupola, and as you'll see on this bit here, this is the ability. It is now ready for doing another secondary shot. So I'm trying to maybe shoot this RHM, but it's not really going to happen. Again, we don't want to be over aggressive, because even though you have lots and lots of hit points, they can quickly disappear. Like we're already down to now 3,000. We've lost 1,000 hit points just from, you know, trying to play the game. And fair enough, we have traded 2,600 for that 1,000, so we are up on the trade. But still, with all of these tanks at the back, Gorilla, not bad. Imagine if both of those double shots hit. We actually hit the double shot or the secondary shot for 261 on the Gorilla there. So imagine if we had HE, we could do like bang bang, like 500 damage, and then another like however many this is. What is it? 670. So you can do over 1,000 damage, which is mental to think about. But we're up to 4,000 damage. Still the same hit points, angled there, very very nicely. Remember, you don't want to over-angle this because it's not like the mouse. We're trying to take a shot at the T103 or T803 cupola. And again, not being over-aggressive. We've got the reload now. We do need to be careful though, because if we look on the minimap, you'll see that the rat is actually pushing down. We have a BZ-79 over here as well, and there's still the Gorilla at the back. We don't know where this Gorilla is, as we do finish off the Tier 03, but we don't know where this Gorilla is, and he could be moving back over there. So we obviously don't want to try and push the hill right now, but we do need to try and get some angles to try and take out this IS-7. Obviously, the HE is not going to do much against the hull down IS-7. But we do find a shell into the upper hull there. And we're going to try and do the same thing again in a second, maybe. But the whole time, I'm so cautious of the fact that there is a griller at the back that I don't want to be turning my whole tank to try and face the IS-7. We also need to be careful that the rat is behind us, and there's no real people to defend the base. Like, we have a griller 15 or 2 griller 15s, but that's about it. But we'll have the secondary guns loaded in a second. The IS-7 trying to go for the tracking shot, but he's using standard AP, which is not really going to be a threat to me. We actually knock out the radio operator there. I don't know whether or not that was from the main shot or if it was from the double shot. But the rat is now in our base, and he is now taking shots at us. I mean, I don't really know how he managed to hit that, but that was pretty impressive. The BZ is also in our base. It's now 5 to 8. This is not looking good, but we are... I was going to say, we are up to 5.4k, and unfortunately, we only have 1,500 hit points remaining. Now, our team is pretty static, but it's kind of to be explained. Although the can opener, I don't know what he's doing. So right now I'm thinking, okay, I can either sit here and get farmed by the rat, or I can try and go onto the hill. The griller's gone over there. I'm going to be faster than this badger. We take that shot. We now go up here. We'll try and double shot this, just to put a little bit more damage into him. And then we just try to angle. I don't know whether or not this IS-7 is still using AP, but we'll just put one more in. He is. We can now check where the griller is. Both of these are absolutely fine. We're now going to move onto the hill, making sure that we try to angle as best as we can. Take out the IS-7, push into the hill, angle again. The Griffin's fired one. He'll have the second shot ready. And we just angle. He misses. We now know that he has like a 9-second reload. We can put one into him. He'll be reloaded before us. We then just angle a little bit. And hopefully he'll bounce. Yes, he does. And now we just need to try and kill the Griffin. Once the Griffin's dead, we can then start to try and progress the battle a little bit. We go around here, we then stop, we then back up, put the double in, just to try and track him, make it a bit easier, but it didn't need that anyway. And we are now up to 7.8k. Yeah. Unfortunately, though, we are one of 2 people on the enemy or on our team. Yeah, and the rat is in our base now. Unfortunately, that doesn't connect. It's a little bit annoying. We were aiming down at the upper bit, which would have been a pen. So the 430U is on the island over there. The Griller 15 is on his way. I'm going to load HE for the Griller just to guarantee the kill. And he comes up, and back down he goes. Now, the Bees are 79. This is... The thing is, I feel like this is where I start making mistakes in the game. Because this... I mean, that's an absolutely fine shot into that. We get a little bit more damage. But right here, I don't really know how I should be kind of playing this. Maybe shooting the double wasn't the best idea. But the Beezer 79 is still around there. But that right there will be a very, very crucial shot. For reasons you'll see, hopefully, in a minute. The RHM is now YOLOing me. This is exactly what he needed to do. Because I can't really do anything like this RHM now. He is going to be behind me, and the most I can do is to try and ram him. So we're going to try and push him up against a wall or against an object or something. The BZ comes up. We're going to put one into him. We try and angle against the BZ. He bounces. This is good. But the RHM is still alive. The RHM is the big issue here. We're now to 9.7k. Can I get one more in for 10k? Hey. No. Honestly, we get defeat, but that last shell on the Griller probably should have been saved for someone else. Maybe if we didn't shoot the Griller, we would have been more focused on what was coming up the hill, and we could have put one into the RHM, and it maybe would have changed the outcome. Although I don't think so. He still would have had plenty of health remaining. So unfortunately, no 10k for me, and honestly, probably my own doing. We did block 5.6k, we did get 6 kills, and we do obviously come top of the team. And hey, we even earned 35k, although there was a mission. But I do feel like that game shows you everything about the Taschenratte. It is a fantastic vehicle. You can angle perfectly, and most people will bounce. As I said, this is probably better for 99% of players than the mouse. It's more forgiving, it has a better gun, by far a better gun, and the double shot is fun. I do think that this is a fantastic tier 11 and one that you should definitely go ahead and pick up. It is well worth it, and you have the mouse to play before it, which is amazing as well. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. RIP 10k.